Okay, today I'm going to make something I saw online. This is based on a bead I saw by Betty Bischoff, who I believe is in uh, Boston. I saw this piece and thought, "Oh, that's interesting. I like the piece. I bet I could come up with how she did that." And so I sat down and played with it a bit and came up with these two pieces. Uh, and thought, "Okay, round is nice. Round is cool." And so I thought, "Let me try square." Uh, the square outline is nice. I didn't care for the square cutters. I've got, let's see, square pieces here that really don't seem to do that much, and over here and down there. And so I didn't care for those, but I did like the background, the background striations on this. And this has got a bit of a gradient on it, when I kind of like that. These are both just plain. So I thought, well, okay, I'll try one with a gradient or some background in interesting material and see what I think of that. So to do that, I have again gone with a turquoise and a pearl gradient blend, and I've got a cutter here that is, about an inch and a half in diameter, and I'm going to cut it so that I get mostly the uh, the turquoise and almost none of the solid pearl. And I've learned with this that it is better to remove the clay before I pull the cutter up, because it doesn't always go all the way down. In fact, I've got a piece over here that I didn't cut loose. Let me get that off. There we go. Got him. And now I've got something that approximates a circle. Let me go ahead and get in there and clean it up just a little bit while I'm here. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Again, taking a look at it, trying to decide what I like best, what side looks good. Yeah, I like that side. That's a possibility. Let's go with that. I like that idea. He said, wiping turquoise off of his cutter as it got on there. And then he's changed his mind. Now we're going to go back to this side. But I'm going to cut a piece from up here, give it a twist. See if that was enough to break it loose. Holding it down, and it pretty much came loose. Yay. Okay, I've got my two pieces, and you need two pieces, it turns out. Now I like to work on, I did that cutting on a tile. I'm going to move these two pieces to my work surface instead of my tile. And as you can see on my work surface, I've got a grid line. And experience has taught me that I do this best if I can get things lined up against the grid. Oh, this goes back to my wanting things nice and neat and orderly. Oh, and there are several ways to cut these beads, get them to do what you want. So let me start. I'm going to come over here, and using my grid lines to get myself lined up, I'm going to put my circle cutter right. Actually, I'm going to get him just a hair off the edge and cut a large circle out of him. Give him a twist to make sure it's loose. Come over here to about this, approximately the same place. By the way, I've got my gradient running from one side to the other. Twist, pop him loose, put him back in place. Okay. Now then, I'm going to try to keep the same orientation of these two pieces. And that is an important factor as we go along. So he's going to go in that way, which is pretty close to the way he was in on the other side. And this guy got flipped over. I'm going to put him in here with his stripes running vertical and the light to the outside edge. And I also learned the hard way that it does best if I take my deli sheet. At this point, kind of press everything together, then take my deli sheet, get it smoothed out over him, and run along that seam to get things nice, well sealed down, and kind of hide some of the spacing that's in there. Okay, we did that, got that cut. I'm going to set that aside, take the next size circle cutter, decide where I want to put the next circle, and I think I will put him up here. And again, I'm getting him real close to the edge so that I get right at the edge of the turquoise and the copper on him. And again, try to get that same circle cut out of here so that they come out right. I need to lift those two guys up. And get those two pieces and pop them out of there. Make sure I keep that orientation. This is a little easier to keep. Getting them placed is sometimes tricky. And now you can see why I wanted to keep the orientation, because now you can see this guy kind of flows, giving us a nice continuous appearance to it. And this guy's going to sit in here. And if you can see it, my vertical seam kind of matches where it was before. And then I'm going to come in and seal that down one more time. Get that guy, get my seams real well sealed. So he's down, nice and solid. And let's see, that was trying to figure out what size cutters have been used. That size, okay. Size that size. We go to the next size down. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Cutting right about there. Let's see if I can get that same point or something close to that same point over here. The light from the camera is not making this easy sometimes. Lift him off. I am tilting the blade so I make sure I get well underneath of him. I made the mistake once of cutting it a little flat, and I actually shaved the clay just a hair. So make sure you keep your blade tilted when you're trying to get him off the surface. When that guy's in, I can pick this guy up with okay, I pick him up with my finger. But I pick him up with the blade, but okay. And he was about that orientation. So that's how he was positioned. And again, my deli sheet. And put him over there. Squish him down a little bit. Seal all the seams, get everything nice, well sealed in. Several reasons for doing this. One, if I do it as they go along, it does make it a little bit easier. And as I cut various and sundry pieces out, I get only the pieces been cut out because everything else is well pressed together. At this point, I've run out of my cutters with a plunger. That's okay because I've got other size cutters. And I think I'm going to go to this cutter here. I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to press him. I'm going to move him to where he's near the top. Yeah, that's not a good one. Go a little smaller than that. Get this guy in there to where he's near the top. I'm looking for something on the top edge instead of the side here. I may move him just a hair over because I accidentally hit a look that I kind of liked. I was doing this to begin with. I'm going to try and recreate it. So do that, those guys. And then I'm going to again come in, slice under him and under him. Pop this guy out, set him aside, keeping track of the orientation. That guy is coming out and down here. He gets set in. He does get set in. And there we go. Nope, we're not in. Now we're in. And this guy is coming in. Sometimes they stick to my fingers, sometimes they don't. Today seems to be a finger stick day. Get him down there, positioned where I want him. Like that. Now then, what I really wanted to do, if I can do this right, is come in with my circle cutter and cut him over here somewhere. Didn't really want to plunge him out. And this, I didn't do that, did I? Oh well, sorry about that. I'll come in about here, my circle cutter, and cut him out. Punch him over there. Should have sealed those down, but I didn't. But since they came out, I don't have that too much to worry about there. Use my knife to kind of nudge him into position. Trying not to mess up the surface too much. Got him. This guy should be came from there. And he's in that way. Oh, now I'm going to try and press everything down. So we get a nice uniform surface there. The final step, I'm going to go over this with a brayer and get it nice and smooth. But what I was going for is by putting this last one in particular offset farther around, I'm getting something that looks a little more like a comma. And I should have done that one a little different, but you kind of see what I was going for there. Get my circle cutters back into position where they've got them sequenced right so that I know what I'm doing. Don't need that guy anymore. Now you can do this 2 or 3 times. I found if I do it 3, maybe 4 times, it gets a little bit busy on there, but I can put one off to the edge. So if I come in, I just noticed something I did on the other one, but if I come in and say, put him here over here on the edge at about that position, and come in here, this gets to be really tricky, and I generally end up picking up the piece, putting him over to kind of get an idea where he's going to end up, because he's going to have to go in there, which means this guy's going to have to come in. Should be about there. See if I made a big enough mark. I did. I can see my mark. So he goes down there. I'll learn the hard way again. If I don't do something like that to figure out how to get this thing started, I'll end up cutting one of them too deep and one of them too shallow, and the pieces don't match when I move them over. As you can see right now, they're not really coming in exactly the same size, but they're close enough that it is okay. Again, I will fix that afterwards when I'm done, and I will show you what I'm doing. Again, mistake I made earlier that I have figured out how to correct. And we got that guy into position. And I really need to make sure these guys are in there solid, stable. And so I'm going to run that guy down. Take this guy and squeeze him down. I can come back in. That was the large circle cutter. I can come back in with the next size. I can cut him over here near the edge, so you get a nice curve there. Or I can move him off somewhere else and get a different look to him. I'm going to make this cut right here along the edge and try to duplicate that over here without marking it. Try to get something that looks about right. We'll find out how good I am in just a minute as these guys get popped out. I pull this guy out, move this guy up and pull him out, drop him in there. Not too bad. We've got a fixed reference point. It helps. An idea of how much you want him to overhang. And I'm going to keep doing this, making it smaller and smaller. And I can keep turning off the same point. That is, once I get this smoothed down a little bit, I'll kind of show you what I'm thinking. So I can take this guy and I could put him here, which can kind of show a series of arcs based on that. Or I could move him up and take a piece out of here, or I could take a piece off the other side, which would be something different, which I haven't thought about before, which could be interesting. Let's see what happens. I'm going to take a piece off that side, which means I'm going to take a piece from right about there, pull that out, and see how that looks. Move that guy out, put him down over here, this guy out and put him in over there. I've made a mess on the backside, which I'll have to clean up in a bit. Okay, get those guys in place. You kind of get an idea what happens if you don't make the cuts exactly the same. You can see I've got a little bit of an odd problem you probably can't see as I think about it. You hold that piece up. Let me smooth that piece down first before I try to do anything strange. The problem with what I'm doing here and not being careful about getting my cuts exactly lined up. If you look carefully, you can see I've got some jagged sections here along this line, along this edge, where things didn't quite line up as I put them in. And I actually do have the same problem on the other side, except now the other side tends to push itself out instead of being set in. But like I say, the last few steps kind of clean up those problems. That looks a little interesting. Try to get my orientation back, get my positioning back. I really do like the grid lines on there. Damage that piece a little bit. Fix that later. That was this one. I'm going to come in with this guy. I want to do that again. Oh, let's do that again. I'll come in here, position him, make a cut. Rats. The nice thing about putting it on the edge is you don't have to worry about the orientation of the piece you cut out. Since it's got an edge piece on it, it is obviously going to tend to pop loose. Since it's got an edge piece on it, you can easily identify where the edge of the edge needs to be. You can see I've got a little bit of a flat spot. You may be able to see I've got a little bit of a flat side on this guy. There we go. See, there's that guy's got a little bit of a flat on one side, so I know where he goes. I don't have to worry about the right orientation with him. I didn't quite get a good cut on the other guy, so he's not quite going to fit in the way I wanted him to, but he's got to be, there's the flat side. We've got a little bit of a flat right here. So I know he's got to go in that way. Plus, I want the gold band to line up with the gold band so that I get a nice continuous flow to my. It's actually looking kind of cool. I like that look. See, that was that piece. Let me take this guy. I don't know where I got that cutter, but it's nice. It's. Mm, I'm going to set him aside. I'm going to take. Oh, I'm going to do that. I like that look. I'm going to take cut right out of there. I cut. I didn't smooth that down, did I? Well, too late now. Not for this guy. I can smooth that guy down. And I can get a cut right out of there. Get that guy out. So we can get this guy loose without messing anything up. And he's loose. Okay. And he goes in there. Deal with that in a minute. This guy comes in here, like that. And nudge everything together. See how we're doing here. It's looking good. And so I can smooth that down and get that kind of look. Smooth that down. Get that kind of a look. Um, Asking myself if there's anything else I really want to do. Um, like one more, I can say. Um, Now let me put one small one over here on this edge. Asking myself how far into the edge do I want him to be? I'm going to make him out there. This will be I haven't tried this before. We'll see how well this works. And that guy goes in there. This guy comes over, flip over, because you've got to be consistent. I'm doing three of these because for some reason three things look better than two, and four gets a little too busy. So I'm gonna make three little shapes in here just because it looks good. What's this guy? I need this guy, and I tried putting them in the center, but that doesn't look good. It looks better if you kind of position it so that it touches the edge somewhere. I'm casting a bad shadow that I can't actually see what I'm doing. Got it. Okay. Let's see, I wrote that down, so let's go under with a knife, under with a knife, pick him up, set him aside, pick him up, set him aside. Get him oriented correctly. Come on. There you go. That's the way you're supposed to be. You need to be in there. That's where you're supposed to be. Smooth them down. Now, watching me do this is not the greatest in the world, but watching things develop sometimes is interesting. Then I'm going to come in with my littlest circle cutter and I'm gonna take this guy because he's just a little bit bigger. I want something just a little bit bigger in there. Put him over there. And that should be about the same as over here. Now I should be able, it's just a small piece, to pick him up without playing too many games. Pick him up, put you over here, put you over. These small guys are really difficult to handle. It's like working with little children. He's in. And there he goes. You get in. Trying to make sure I get that little gold stripe I've got in there lined up. So it looks like it is one continuous piece. The tool of the eye. Smooth him down and smooth him down. Now, I've learned several things at this point. One is to go over everything because you've got a lot of surface that hasn't been pressed down and surface that has been. And so I'm going to leave them on that tile, on my work surface. Get all the wrinkles out of my deli sheet. Again, make sure you get all the wrinkles out of your deli sheet. It will wrinkle your clay if you don't. Ask me how I know. See, I do these things so you don't have to run the experiment. Okay, it's fairly smooth. I had a brayer, there it is, around here somewhere. I'm going to go over this guy a few times just to kind of get that surface as smooth and flat as I can because it works best that way. Otherwise, you end up with a textured surface you had not intended. But if we do that, it comes out that way. Now then, the strange news is all that rubbing and pressing and whatnot has changed the size of my bead. So that it is no longer the bead I cut, which is okay because I made a lot of mistakes on the outer edge, and this just kind of makes them all straight again. So things work out really nice. And I can come in here, press that, and all those jagged edges I had are now gone. I've got two nice smooth beads out of it. Now, I don't care for flat beads myself. And so I've got one of two tricks I use. And one of them is that years ago, I picked up a bead tray, and I like putting things in the back side of it, or a bubble tray, let me call it. So I can put these guys down there, put them over that, press them down so that they will take on the texture or the shape of that bubble. And I can put the two halves together to form a nice lentil bead when it's done. If you don't have one of these, I have a light bulb. This is a function. This is a question of how much curvature do you really want. So if you don't have this, a light bulb works fine. This guy is big, so I can put things over it and get a little bit of a curvature, not much. You can use a smaller light bulb and you'll get even more curvature on your piece. Either way, when you take it out of the oven, I do support this with cotton balls to keep it from running away. When it comes out of the oven, you will have two pieces, roughly like that. You can, I'm going to sand these two. And when I'm done sanding them, I will put a little copper strip around the outside, put them together this way with a little bit of liquid clay probably, and put a copper band around the outside to kind of hide the seam and give it a little bit more of a finished look when it's done, so it'll look professional. And so that is what I was going to play with today.